بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره. After studying different types of categories, and we said we have substance and 9 accidental categories. Al-Maqulatul Aradiyah are 9. With substance becomes 10. Maqulat Ashr, 10 categories. These are the top, the highest concepts, that you can use in defining contingent beings. Anything which is contingent. So other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything is contingent, is mumkin al-wujud. Mumkinat have mahiyya, quiddity or whatness. Mahiyat, for all contingent beings, after analysis, can be defined by using these 10 top categories. These are called jinsul ajnas. These are the highest genus or genera, and these are the things that everything contingent finally goes back to them. If you want to define human beings, animals, birds, plants, non-living beings, everything finally goes back to these things. Everything contingent. There are some disagreements among philosophers about the number of these categories. So the famous thing that from the time of Aristotle is 10. But some people disagree. For example, Mullah Sadra disagrees and believes that these 9 accidental categories are all the concepts that only by analysis you come to them. They are not external realities. You remember we said we have external araz accident and we have analytic araz tahlili. Like zawjiyat, like imkan. Imkan is not something additional to a mahiyya. So Mullah Sadra disagrees. Some people disagree with some of them. For example, they accept kayf, quality, but they don't accept the rest of accidental categories. But we don't need to discuss about these issues. For the time being, we follow the general opinion, and that is we have 1 jawhar and 9 aras, accidents. Okay? The issue that remained from last session is to explain philosophical concept of time and philosophical concept of space, and finally a little bit we talk about moment or on. You know, one of the categories was mata. One of them was ayn. Mata was the relation that is between something and its time. Ayn was the relation between something and its space. And we said mata is different from time. Ayn is different from space, from makaan. Remember? We said these are two separate things. Now we want to explain what is time, what is a space, as zamaan and al-makaan. What are they? Okay? So, first about makaan, or a space, or place. You can maybe say a space or place. There are two major ideas among philosophers. Plato, Khaja Nasiruddin Tusi, and Sadrul Muta'allihin. They have one idea, and Aristotle and Farabi and Avicenna have another idea. According to Plato and Khaja Nasiruddin Tusi and Mullah Sadra, makaan, or space, is a dimension which is abstract, which is mujarrad, it's not material, it's not physical. It's an abstract dimension. Imagine you can have a material space which has three dimensions. So you can imagine three lines that touch each other in different directions. Yeah. Whenever you want to imagine something three-dimensional, you can imagine two lines in one space, one level, and another one vertical, so it shows there is space, three dimension. Okay? Aflatun believes that we can have something abstract but three-dimensional. Something that you cannot point at it, you cannot find it, look at it, but it's a big space that everything is inside it. And everything occupies, but they say this is not accurate term. We don't have other term to use. Because to occupy means something physical should be inside something physical. But he wants to say everything physical and material occupies that abstract three-dimensional space. So, makaan for Plato is not something physical, not something of this world, something ideal, something abstract. Okay? But for Aristotle, Farabi, and Avicenna is much easier. For them, makaan is the space that something occupies, the physical space, which is the internal surface of the surrounding object. Internal surface of the surrounding object. For example, we have this cup. Okay? If we put water inside this cup, it's good that we have water. Okay. Yes, inshallah. So, I put water inside here. Okay, up to here is water. So, what is the space of that water? The inner side of this cup, inside, which is surrounding this water, plus air which is touching its surface. So, all this area and the bottom is the cup, inside of the cup, but top of it is air. So they say what surrounds something is the space of what is surrounded. Al-muhat and al-muhit. Muhit means surrounding. Muhat means surrounded. Is it clear? So makaan is something that contains another thing. You can say like this. Contains, surrounds it. So what is my makaan right now? My makaan is the surface of air that touches me and the surface of the chair on which I am sitting. So where what surrounds me ends, it's me. Yeah? What surrounds you is ended by you. So you are covered with that. So that's your space. So this is the Aristotelian understanding of space, of makaan. Now we go to time. Again, time is different from matter. Matter is something else. Matter is by itself one of the categories, and we said it's the relation of something with time. So what is time? Normally, what we think about time is the time which is created by movement of Earth around Sun. So days and nights and weeks and months and years. This is what we normally think about time. We think this is time. But this is not time for everything. This is the time for Earth and Moon. Time is, according to philosophers, one type of quantity. Kam. Time is a quantity. But this quantity has to be muttasil, connected. Yeah, because as we said last week, quantity can be connected or disconnected. Disconnected quantity is what? Yes, munfasil. What? It's what? Numbers. Between 2, 3, 4, there is gap. When quantity is connected, is muttasil, then again is either qarruzzat or ghayru qarruzzat. Either its parts exist together or its parts are spread. For example, you have 1 meter line of any material. 1 meter. Wood or clothes. This is kam, 1 meter, not the material, the quantity of it. It's kam and muttasil and qarruzzat, because you can have all of it together. But time is ghayru qarruzzat, means it has no stability. One part comes after the previous part has gone, and the next has not come yet. You cannot never have a portion of time at the same time. Yeah? A portion of time comes gradually. So, philosophers believe that time is a quantity which is connected, which is expiring. It's renewed and expired. Is it clear? Now, what type of beings have time? This is a very important question. What type of beings have time? You cannot say, I am here under sun and moon, so I have time. Very important subject. The only things that have time are the things that are themselves gradual in their existence. They are changing because time is the quantity of motion. حركة. الزمان مقدار الحركة. So anything which has motion. What is حركة? You remember حركة? What is حركة?
One place.
Yeah. Gradual change. We said we have two types of changes. Changes that take place at once. Philosophers call them al-kawn wal-fasad. Yes, anything that changes at once, this is al-kawn wal-fasad. For example, hitting the wall. Suppose you are moving towards the wall with car and you hit the wall. Hitting the wall is not gradual. Because it happens at once. Moving towards the wall is gradual. But hitting takes place at once. You cannot say it's, for example, few seconds that I am hitting the wall. Either you have hit or you have not hit. You cannot say I am gradually hitting. Yes, you can say I am gradually moving. Is it clear? There is an apple fruit on the tree. It's growing and becoming ripe. This is harakah. But when it drops, dropping means disconnected from the branch, takes place at once. Either it's connected or disconnected. You cannot say it takes time to be separated. No. It takes time to become ripe. But separation is once. Is it clear?
Yes.
So, zamaan or time is the quantity for harakah. And harakah or motion is gradual change. In contrast to instant change, which is kawn fasad. So, anything which has in itself harakah has also time.
So fasad is different meanings. Fasad also means mischief, doesn't it?
Yeah, but here means you lose a form, you lose a condition. It's another sense, kawn fasad. So, anything which is changing in a gradual way, in other words, anything that has motion, is in motion, has time. Okay? Before Mullah Sadra, they had the idea that harakah, motion, can happen in one of the few a'raz. For example, in quality. Something sweet becomes sweeter, sweeter, sweeter. This is motion in quality. Something is, for example, soft becomes softer and softer. Something is hard. So this is motion in quality. Motion can be in quantity. Motion can be in, for example, space or whatever. But before Mullah Sadra, philosophers had the idea that substance can never be subject to change, to harakah, substance. Substance only changes through kawn and fasad, means instantly. Because they had the idea that any harakah needs mutaharrik. and mutaharrik has to be fixed. So what changes has to be the same. Mullah Sadra brought a very new idea, a very new and revolutionary idea, that even substance can change. And not only he said substance can change, he said all the motions in a'raz also goes back to substance. So he promoted the idea of al-harakatul jawhariyya. Okay? Substantial motion. And everything in this physical world, we are not talking about mujarradat, we are talking about physical world, everything has substantial motion. Therefore, according to Mullah Sadra, time is the fourth dimension of everything in this world. So everything has a time. So, I am changing, you are changing, everything is changing. Even the things that we don't feel they are changing, according to Mullah Sadra, they are changing. Okay? Everything is changing. So, everything has a time. I have my time, you have your time. Animals have their own time. And we have time of earth and moon and sun. We have accepted to choose a common time as point of reference. For the sake of convenience, we agreed on using the time, which is the quantity of the change, gradual change of earth and moon around sun. We accepted that as a point of reference. We compare our life with that. Otherwise, everything has its own time. Okay?
It is just eight body. This coming on to a setting one time, it's not in reality, it's eight body. I don't know what you call it.
It's relative.
It's relative.
Yes.
Would you say transformation?
Like, for example, pardon?
Would you say transformation describes fasad in this case? Transform.
Transform is general. Transform can be gradual transformation or can be instant transformation. Yes.
Sheikh, can you just repeat again very briefly what previous to Mullah Sadra the idea was?
Before Mullah Sadra had the idea that haraka cannot be in substance. So among maqulat, only those maqulat arazi that are all with fixed substance, but those araz can change. For example, kam, kayf can change, but on a fixed substance, because araz needs a jawhar. They said jawhar has to be the same, but its kayf, its kam can change. Its ayn can change, its waz can change. But Mullah Sadra said even substance can change. And he said, don't worry about haraka being in need of a subject. Yes, there is subject, but the subject is changing. But there is continuity. And that continuity is enough for us. As long as there is no separation, we can say it's the same thing which is moving. The same thing which is being transformed. It doesn't need to be fixed. So, this was a new idea. Yeah.
So, previous to him, any change in substance was Kauna Fasad.
In araz, yes.
But in substance, Kauna Fasad.
Sorry, in Johar. In Johar, yes. But in araz, no.
Yes.
There could be also harak, yes.
What kind of things would be considered as with substance but without araz? Then is there anything like that?
When substance changes, then maybe its quantity has not changed. For example, the same weight. but it used to be, for example, cloth, now it is an embryo, for example, but maybe the same weight. Okay? So sometimes aras has not changed. Sometimes may come with the change in aras. For example, at the same time that substance is changing, maybe it's also becoming bigger. Or maybe the color is changing. So these changes can come together or can be separate. So, for the sake of convenience, for the sake of being able to have a common life together, we have adopted one easy to notice haraka as something standard, which is the haraka of earth and moon around the sun, and the time that is quantity of that haraka, we have used that time as a standard time. Okay? Otherwise, each of us has its own time. So for example, you say this is year 2017 after Christ. Okay? 2017. But is this your year? You are not that old. Yeah? So you have your own calendar. Each of us has its own calendar. But we have to agree on something common, and then instead of each of us being in need of comparing himself with other people, with tens of people, we just compare ourselves with one thing. Okay? It's like, for example, when there was no money, it was very difficult to sell and buy because, for example, you were selling eggs. Someone is selling, for example, rice. But the one who sells rice doesn't need egg. You are selling egg, you don't need rice. Then you had to find someone who, for example, buys rice and, for example, sells eggs. Something like this. So sometimes it had to go 10 hands till this circle is complete. So they made it easy. Say, okay, everyone takes money and gives money. Becomes easy. Otherwise, everything has its own value. You cannot compare it with notes. But we agreed on something common. So, everything has its own time. There is something that it's not, of course, here, but in some of my previous lectures I have said, might be interesting here, and that I believe human beings have at least two times. Times of the body and times of the spirit. We normally only think about the time of body. Say, how old are you? Then you look at your date of birth and you say, for example, 20, 30, 40, 50. So I'm 50 years old. This is the time of your body. But what about the time of your spirit? Because human spirit, although it is mujarrad, but it is also changeable. Okay? Then this might not be exactly for the same people, for everyone. Maybe someone is 50 years old in his body, but his spirit is only 10 years old. Pardon? So, has not become mature. In our time, bodies become mature earlier and spirit becomes mature later. Yeah?
The Sheikh can be our spirit is ageless, it's been there since God knows when.
No. According to philosophers, human spirit is hadith. So our spirit didn't exist before our body. According to muhaddisin, yes, but according to philosophers, no. But the thing is that a spirit has its own development. So, for most of human beings, it takes years of living in this planet so that their spirit also becomes mature. But maybe you can have a spirit that even in the womb of mother they become mature.
La ilaha illallah.
Because their time is different. You should not think that the change of time is the same as the change of the spirit. So one spirit can become mature much earlier, one spirit can become mature much later than normal. Okay? Another thing is that, in my understanding, the spirit can grow and become mature and young and remain young forever. So the spirit of mu'min never becomes old. And this is why in heaven we don't have old people. Because in heaven you are present according to your spirit and your body has to follow your spirit. So age of spirit is the main factor in heaven. In dunya, age of body. Yeah? In dunya you say, this is old person, you look at his body, you say he's old or young. But in heaven, it's the spirit that determines. So, mu'min, when he grows, he reaches maturity and maximum strength, and that remains. Maybe we can also understand this from Quran, that man nu'ammirhu nunakkishu fil khalq, not fil ruh. Okay? So you can see someone who is 80 years old, but his spirit is young. Yeah? He's very vital, very dynamic, very young. Yes.
Sheikh, I've had or known of people who are able to see what you have said. So, for example, they see someone, they say, you are 300 years old, twice, like that.
Yes.
Someone else will say, he's 3 years old.
Yes.
How do they, I mean, this is a bit of a different dimension. How can we access that time? See.
So, if we have vision, we can see, but if we don't have that special vision, based on their understanding, their wisdom, their emotions, we can understand.
I think this will also explain how the Isa, when he was soon after he was born, he said, I'm a prophet of God, and
Yes.
I've been given the book. Also, it explain autism in children when they either they are hyperactive or they are completely retarded.
Yeah. So,
it explains that
body imposes itself and its conditions on the spirit. Okay? But sometimes it's not possible for us to understand by looking at the body the condition of the spirit. You think, for example, you see a person is very, say, ill. You cannot think his spirit is ill or weak.
Indeed.
Or you may see someone, for example, even has lost his memory. You shouldn't think his spirit has lost the memory. Because the conditions of body do not necessarily reflect the conditions of the spirit. Many times, yes. Many times, the way body evolves resonates with the changes in the spirit. But there can be also times that they are not going hand in hand. One goes faster, one goes more slowly, or sometimes they may be disconnected. Someone maybe has accident, he doesn't understand anything, but this doesn't mean that he has lost his iman, his aqa'id. No, That's the spirit. Okay? It's like imagine. There is a room, someone is sitting in the room opposite to a window. Whenever you look at the window, you see that person is there. But if that person moves further, you look at the window and don't see him. Don't think he's not in the room. He used to sit in front of this room, but now he has gone further or behind. When we don't see it from window, what we used to see, say, he has gone. No, he has not gone. Your window is very limited. You cannot see a little bit before or after. So, human body is a window to look at a spirit of the person. A little window. And you know, even in this window, where is the most central part? If you imagine the whole body of someone is a window to look at his spirit, the eyes. The eyes are very strange. So, eye is the bigger glance that you can have to someone's spirit. But even if you day and night look at someone's eyes, you cannot 100% be sure what is there. Yeah? So, there are two types of times. Time of body and time of spirit, and they may not necessarily be the same or, going together. And for spirit, I believe there can be a level of growth. Then after that, it doesn't become old. For body is like a curve. When you become, for example, balaga ashuddahu. When you become 40, then after that you go down. But for a spirit, there is no need to be like that. It can be like that for some people, but for the spirit can be always becoming stronger and stronger. Yes.
How about the people who get dementia?
Yes.
What is the position of theirs?
So that is a problem in body. Then because of that problem, body would not be able to have the same communication with the spirit. It's like looking at window, but the person is not exactly there. Either partly or completely missing. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Give the example of a person who used to come to the mosque, and when he got very older, he used to forget about how to pray.
Yeah.
But his spirit was saying that he wants to pray.
Yeah.
So he would ask people that when
Help
I
him.
read the salah, if I get stuck, please help me to finish.
Yes. So maybe this person no longer knows how to say his prayer, but he can be considered as a person who is praying. Because his spirit is fixed with that condition of loving salat and doing salat, Yes.
See, when you say spirit, is that a synonym for ruh?
Yes. Yes.
Sheikh, you mentioned that the spirit remains young, but
Can remain young.
can remain young. But you don't mean that it will stop developing. You mean it will continue to develop,
Yeah.
even in the akhirah, even
Yes.
in heaven. But it remains. It keeps
You become younger. Because for us, young is a level of strength, but a level of not being experienced and mature. But you can imagine of young as just strength. Then the more you go forward, then you become younger. Yes.
In order for the body to grow, you need to take care of it and sustain it. But if a person's spirit is maturing very early, like in the womb, for example, if the spirit is maturing in the womb or earlier or a bit
Yes.
early like that, then what has the person done to sustain or to take care of the soul for it to mature so quickly? Whereas for the body, you need to continuously protect it.
So the progress of the spirit is not exactly measured by what you see in the body. The progress of the spirit is based on the rizq that a spirit receives. Okay? Like for example, Allah says, أَحْيَاءٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. So if Allah gives you that spiritual rizq, then you can grow faster. But if from eating, food, you want to grow, that takes longer. So you can take someone and give him a spiritual rizq. In 1 year, his spirit becomes faster in maturity than someone who is just in dunya, normal life. For example, we have hadith that it says about angels, ta'amuhum tasbih. So if in addition to our eating of food and drinking water, we could take tasbih to our soul, then you grow faster. Yes.
Can we say about Shuhada Karbala, especially the young children like Qasim ibn al-Hassan or Ona Muhammad? They were like 10, 11, 12 years of age. But when they were asked by Imam Hussain al-Islam, and they gave such an answer which we cannot even expect from very old people. So can we say that their ruh was far ahead from their body?
Yes. So they had reached the level of maturity, although maybe their body would not reflect their maturity. So if you just look at their body, you thought they are still children. But when you listen to their logic, you realize that these are not children. These are people that even old people can learn from them. Yeah? Because this is the way they are brought up, the way their soul has been fed. Yeah. So this is about time. So everything, in order to have time, must have first haraka. Means everything has to be gradually changing, and then time, it's the quantity of that change. If something has no haraka in any way, either directly or indirectly, for example in essence or in accidents, then there is no way of thinking of time. Something which is fixed and can never change, then has no time. Okay?
What did you say, Sheikh?
For example, of course this is not 100% the case, because even rock and stone can be affected by passage of time. But suppose, just for the sake of supposition, that you have a piece of stone or big rock that for thousands of years has not changed. So you cannot say, how old is this? If it has not changed, there is no age for it. You can say how old it is if you want to consider days and nights that have passed. But if something hasn't really not changed, of course, as I said, this is not a good example, because even a stone is changing. But suppose, for example, angel, who is not changing, for example. Anything which is not changing, time cannot be added to it. Yes?
No, what did you say, that time is the quality that measures the change?
Quantity. Kam. Al-kammu al-muttasilu ghayru qarrizat is a quantity which is connected but is expiring, is not fixed. Yes?
So all contingent beings have haraka?
No. Not all. Inshallah, we will talk about different types of substance, and we say some of them don't have haraka. Another concept that you should learn is on. On. What does on mean? We say al-on, for example.
No.
Now. But in philosophy, we mean by on
How do you spell an in philosophy? How do you spell it?
A-A-N.
A-A-N.
You can say A-N. In philosophy, we mean by an moment. But real moment. You know, sometimes we say moment, we mean maybe 1 minute. Yep. Or for example, we say we live in a moment in history, and this may mean several years. Yeah. So we say moment, we mean short time. But moment, in philosophical sense, means one point in the process of change and time. Just 1 point. 1 point means it should not have any continuity. If it is continuity, it's not on. Imagine you have a line. Okay, for example, this is like maybe 14 centimeters. Okay? Any point here, okay, is connected with the next and previous. But end of it, exactly end of the line, is not a line. Beginning of it, it's not a line. So every line ends with 2 points which are not by themselves a line or part of a line. They have no continuity. Okay? In the same way that a surface ends with a line. So if you have, for example, this book, it ends here, for example, and here. This is line. Line has no surface because surface ends here. Line has no length or width. Sorry, width. It has length but no width. So, if you can stop time or imagine a stopping of time and then that point at the beginning or end of a portion of time, that is on. So on has no continuity, has no quantity in that sense. Kam muttasil. Is it clear? In the past, there was a misconception. Some people in the very ancient, Greece, some philosophers had this idea. They were wrong. They thought time is millions or billions of moments. And they thought haraka is millions of or billions of sukun. Sukun, we can say lack of motion. What can we say? Like being idle. Yeah, stillness. Stillness, yeah. But we say no. Even if you have 1 million or 1 billion stillness, it would not produce even a little move. If you have 1 billion or trillion of on, it would not produce even 1 minute. Because this is zero. And if you multiply zero millions of times, it's zero. So, it is true that whenever you have a line, you can imagine many points in it. In the sense that if I cut it, I would have 2 points here, for example. Or in time, we can consider different moments. But if you want a real moment, then it has no graduality. Is it clear? So moment has no continuity. It means end of time or beginning of time. no time itself. Yes.
Is kun fayakun asked?
It depends. Is it kun fayakun for something gradual or for something which is going to happen at once? For example, if Allah wants to give someone child, okay, He doesn't give him child at once. If He wants to give him child, He decides at once, but it takes 9 months to have the child, at least. Or maybe it takes few years till this person grows and marries and have child. So He makes the decision at once, but the result can take time to come. Okay. Now we move on to the next lesson. And this is about different types of substance. So we said we have jawhar and araz. How many maqulat we have? Why not 2?
9 plus 1.
Why not 2? This is a question for you. If so, you can find the answer. I give you 2 marks. It's very difficult. Very difficult to explain why, although we have jawhar and araz, we don't say we have 2 categories. We say 10 categories. Jawhar has 5 types. So either you should say 5 plus 9, 14, or you should say 1 plus 1, 2. Why we say 1 plus 9? If you can understand this, then I give you 2 points. Okay. Jawhar has 5 types. Okay? Anwa. 5 types. 5 anwa. No. Madde or matter. Surat or form. Jism, which means physical mass or physical matter. Then nafs, soul, which we mean here human soul. And aql, which we mean not human aql, we mean intellect. Here we mean by aql independent realities. They have independence from us. It's not our aql. These are independent realities which are the closest to God in the hierarchy of creation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, of course, absolutely beyond time and space. He's mujarrad. Then under Allah also we have ughul, intellects. They are also beyond time and space. Then we have human beings, animals, plants, and this type of thing, which are all in the world of matter and form and changes and this type of things. But the difference between human beings and the rest of physical beings is that human beings have 2 sides. Their body is the same as material things, but their soul or spirit is in its essence immaterial. But it's not like those intellects, because those intellects are totally independent from physical world. They affect, but they are not affected. But human soul is affected by the physical world. You go through changes. What you eat, what you drink, what you hear, what you see have impact on your soul. So although your soul in its essence is immaterial, but in its actions is material. It's matter in this philosophical sense. It means that it has potentials and has to go through, different stages of transformation. So we are in between. So if you imagine, one realm is the realm of divinity. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then under Allah we have two realms. Okay, we have the realm of malakut and spirits and intellects. We have the realm of mulk, dunya, nature. Human beings are in between. It means that they have something from here and something from there.
So they're exposed to both sides.
Yes. So we belong to that world, but we are functioning in this world. So either you take from here for there, or you take from there for here. Either you take light from here and add to your light of fitrah, or you lose that light in the darkness of this world. So this is the way we can function. Yes.
Now, when you said madda is matter, that includes all physical matter, right?
Yes, but it's more than that.
Between jism.
Anything which has potential is madde. Anything which can take a form, a surah, is madde.
So it's different from jism, which is physical matter.
Yes. Jism is three-dimensional. Anything which is occupying a space as a physical mass. Yes.
In Usul Kafi's first chapter, Aql Jahl, we're talking about Aql. Is that the same Aql? If that is the same
No.
Aql, then what is Jahl? No,
No.
that is not same.
No. That is aql for us. That aql opposite to jahl is something that is for us.
But when Adam alayhi salam, when he was offered Aql, Haya and Deen, he accepted Aql. Is that Aql again the human Aql we're talking about?
Of course.
It's not the one which is...
Yeah, because equality for us. So he was offered one of the three qualities and he chose, for example, aql. But those intellects that we are talking in philosophy, they are independent. They are much higher than us. According to, for example, peripatetic philosophers, there are 10 aql. There are 10 intellects. The lowest is the 10th, which is the active intellect. And the lowest aql is responsible for running this world. They are all under the 10th aql, according to Parapat Masha'in. So they are much higher than us.
I remember you had mentioned that pain is felt by the soul, not by the body. And I think this explains phantom limb pain, between the limb that has been cut, and you still feel the pain in the limb which is not there. So it means there's
So
something
pleasure
like
and pain are sensed by the soul, but based on signals that you receive through your body, but sometimes even without body. Yeah, so one part of pain of the soul is when something is done to the body. But sometimes there are people that, for example, their hand is cut off, but their hand is in pain. Because it's the soul which experiences. Yes.
Imam Sadiq says that the first creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-aql.
Yes.
And Holy Prophet says that the first creation, like
No.
my Nur is the first creation. How we can take this down?
That first is not first in this sense. That first means first in significance. Not in the hierarchical sense. Yes.
What's the relationship between aql and ahl? That particular type of aql?
Which type?
The realm of aql, which is not the aql which we have.
So, all human beings come under those 10 intellects, according to peripatetic philosophers. So, every human being comes under that, but in a moral sense, in a spiritual sense, they may say Allah may love a human being who is acting very piously more, for example. But this is a moral sense. But existential sense, they depend on these intellects according to them. But it's not that everyone accepts. But this was very established idea in Hikmat Masha. So, we have madde, matter, which is that substance that receives forms. If you remember when we were talking about, mawzu, subject, we said sometimes you have something that settles or dwells in something that doesn't need it. This is araz. But sometimes dwells in something that thing also needs this. This is madde and surah. Madde and surah cannot exist without each other. So, for example, something has the form of jismaniyya, to be three-dimensional. Then on top of that takes the form of being wood. On top of that can take the form of being a desk. So different forms can all come on one substance which is matter. So the prime matter, al-maddatul ula, the very first substance which receives the forms, they say has no actuality, no fi'liyah, because it's 100% potential. They say la fi'liyata lahu illa annahu la fi'liyata lah. They say the only actuality that it has, it's that it has no actuality, which means it's 100% potential. Of course, this cannot exist alone. Yeah, it cannot exist alone because we don't have anything in this world which is 100% potential. There must be something. This is your understanding of distinctions. They call it al-maddatul ula or hayula. Al-hayula. Okay, hayula here doesn't mean monster or your kind of, devil. It means prime or primary matter which has no form, no actuality. Then it takes a form. That matter and the form, they become a secondary matter for another form. So this becomes al-madda al-thaniya, because it's that matter and this form that now enables us to get another form. Then again, that secondary matter, which was by itself primary matter and the first form, that secondary matter with this form become again matter for a higher form. Sometimes forms are replaced, but sometimes forms are added, one on the top of the other. So for us to become a human being like this, how many forms have come, one on the top of the other, so that we reached this point? From being just potential up to this point. جسم نام حساس متحرك بالإرادة ناطق. Lots of things have happened till we have become a human being. Okay? So, this is madde and surah. And we mean by surah form. it is different from shape. Normally we use shape for something which is on the surface, but form, we mean here by form in philosophy something which is substantial. Like being a human being, it's a form, it's not a shape. You understand? Then we have jism. Jism is physical mass which has 3 dimensions. ذو أبعاد ثلاثة. It has width and length and height. This is jism. Then we have nafs. I will come back to jism because there are different views about jism. We come back to it inshallah next week. But let's finish once all the 5. Nafs. Nafs is different from jism because jism is material, is physical. Nafs is jawharun mujarradun dhatan. Its essence is mujarrad. Okay, it's not material, it's abstract. But madiyatun bil fi'l, in its actions, in its changes, its potential, and therefore can be affected by the physical world. Okay, so our nafs, as its essence, is mujarrad, but it has lots of potentialities, that these potentialities connect us to the physical world. Of course, it can be connected also to the spiritual world, but it also partly connected to the physical world. For example, you learn something. This is a change. So it's not that you are fully actual, you don't accept any change. You have lots of potentialities. And then we have aql, which is jawharun mujarradun zatan wa fi'lan. It's abstract in its essence and its actuality. It's 100% actual. Ughul never go through changes, never become better or less. They are absolutely actual. Whatever they could be, they are. Okay? So we are in between madde, jism, and uqul. Inshallah, we discuss some points about what is jism and other issues, inshallah, next week. Wa akhiru da'wan and alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Yes. Human soul.